Okay, let's start. Great to see you, Ursula.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so cool to see you.
Yeah, I'm so grateful you wanted to be on my channel. I have been...
No, I'm so grateful to you for having me.
because I have been seeing you on YouTube, and I'm quite blown away by the content on your channel. You seem to be really, yeah, you seem to be really knowledgeable about this. And you have, yeah.
I mean, I guess I've just kind of, I mean, it's one of those things, once you get into it, it's like you're all in. And so it's kind of been one of those things for me where I've kind of just really gone deep with it.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your background? How did this start for you, and how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so I think I've kind of always been very much interested in consciousness, even since I was a child. I didn't start having conscious astral projections until my late teens, but I do now remember projections that I had when I was younger, say maybe around 4. And I was also having precognitive dreams back then as well. And yeah, so I was always kind of really interested in dreaming. And I remember before I had even ever heard the term astral projection or lucid dreaming, saying to my friends when I was about 8 years old that I really want to try waking up inside my dream. And so I was always kind of just playing around with these ideas, but I didn't achieve it myself until my late teens, where I went through a really bad bout of sleep paralysis. And I read somewhere that it could be used as a gateway for astral projection, and I went ahead and tried it, and I managed to do it the first time I tried. So I kind of feel like for me, it may have been just meant to be. Yeah.
So it's been like a natural process for you.
Yeah, and lots of synchronicities as well from my childhood. I can see now that we're kind of all leading up to that point.
Okay, so have you been using a special technique to do this, or has it just been like more of a development since you started with this sleep paralysis gateway thing?
Yeah, so I started off just using sleep paralysis as a gateway. The thing with that is it was almost like once I got really comfortable with it and I could do it every time, and at that stage I was kind of like projecting almost every night. It was almost like that sleep paralysis thing got taken away from me a little bit for a while. So I feel as though my guides were kind of telling me, all right, you've had a free ride for this long, you've got to put in the work now. So I have gone ahead and taught myself how to meditate and taught myself how to visualize, which those things did not come easily to me. And so that I could kind of experiment with the other techniques. So now I have like a little bit of a bag of tricks, I guess you could say. But I kind of just go from, I work with how I'm feeling in the moment. So whatever technique I choose, it's almost like, what should I do tonight, or what should I do this morning? And I kind of just go with what feels good in the moment.
So approximately how often do you do your astral projection things? Is it like weekly or daily, or?
At the moment, I'm having maybe 3 a week, which is less than I was originally. But then I've also gone for like week-long, month-long periods where I haven't projected at all. So I think 3 a week is kind of like a happy medium for me. Yeah.
Sounds like a really good medium.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Would you consider yourself like a master of this, or what do you think there's a lot more to learn?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like with astral projection, the moment you say that you're a master at it, the astral kind of throws you a fast one at just to remind you, like put you in your place a little bit, and you're kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like to consider myself, I mean, in a lot of ways, I still consider myself very much a beginner, especially when you're in the astral projection community and you're seeing some of the experiences that people are talking about are just amazing and mind-blowing. And those are the kinds of things that really inspire me to keep going. You know, and I've only been doing this for maybe going on 12 years now. So whereas, you know, some people have been doing it for their whole life. So in a lot of ways, I still consider myself a beginner.
Mm. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your experiences?
Yeah, okay. Well, most of my experiences recently have kind of centered around healing. So I spend a lot of time in different healing centers, and that's a bit of a theme for me at the moment. So lots of the time I'm working with like trauma attachments. So people who come in and they have attachments that may be a little bit darker in nature, and they've been through trauma. Working with those types of people and showing them how to transmute those kinds of energies. So yeah, that's something that I've been doing a lot of recently.
So you're actually helping other people when they have things they can't get of themselves. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. It's funny, I was actually going to ask you about this because I find that when I astral travel, my personality is slightly different, or the positive parts about me are really enhanced. And one thing I notice is that when I go in, I'm just super service to others focused. And I'm always kind of, when I see someone in need, or when I'm put in a situation where somebody needs healing or they need something, I feel like it's just this real natural instinct for me to just go into like superhero mode.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you find that other parts of you are enhanced as well? Because personally, I can feel like sometimes when I astral project, it's like everything has like this super high resolution, and all the senses are really enhanced. Do you experience that as well?
Yeah, especially because I usually wear glasses, like yourself, or contacts. And so it's funny because I'm like, I'm not wearing my glasses, but everything is just super crisp and super HD. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's also little things like I feel like I'm a lot braver and a lot more confident, and just little things that I don't so much have in my physical personality, I really embody in my non-physical personality.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I have a few questions here. I just have to read them. So can you tell us a little bit more? Why do you think astral projection is an important part of the spiritual awakening?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to astral project to have a spiritual awakening. You could have huge spiritual development in your life and never astral project, or never consciously astral project. But I do feel like astral projection is like the optimal tool for spiritual development, because it makes it tangible. You know, like you hear these concepts throughout the spiritual community, and you can grasp them and you can kind of understand them and ponder them, but when you're really experiencing something, it's completely different. Like you go from maybe thinking to knowing. So things like, you know, connecting with angels or ETs or extra dimensionals, or, you know, a common one that they talk about in the spiritual community is like everything is one, like everything is connected, you know what I mean? And I have had astral experiences where I've gone in and just been surrounded by light beings who have just, they kind of, I mean, you know, they speak telepathically, and they it's not that they're speaking in words per se, it's more like you're getting a full download of understanding. And when you receive that full download of understanding, which is what I did when in this particular experience, this complete download of understanding that everything is one, and then you come back and you're like, wow, that's different from just reading it in a book. You know what I mean? It makes it tangible. It makes it something that you've experienced, and it goes from feeling that something might be correct and then to knowing it.
Wow, that's a really good explanation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you think that this thing with astral projection and dimension shifting and reality shifting, it seems like it's kind of trendy right now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. What can you tell us about this reality shifting trend? I mean, is this the same thing as astral projection in your mind?
Yeah, well, when I first saw the whole reality shifting thing on TikTok, I kind of just scrolled past it because sometimes the things that you see on TikTok are just a little bit far-fetched, and I kind of feel like people just say things just to go viral. And that happens sometimes on TikTok. And the way that it was being explained was that it was a manifestation technique where you could basically manifest yourself into another reality. So at first I didn't really put the two together. It wasn't until I had really thought about it that I was like, oh, they're talking about astral projection. So basically reality shifting is where you shift your consciousness into another physical version of yourself, so a parallel reality version. And this is achieved through astral projection, and they're using the exact same techniques, they're having the exact same symptoms. So although I don't think reality shifting and astral projection are the same thing, I think reality shifting is something that is achieved through astral projection, because I've had these experiences myself and I haven't yet been able to experience them in kind of like, fictional worlds. But I've certainly had experiences where I've gone into alternate reality versions of myself. And and even being part of the reality shifting community, you can see what they're saying and you can kind of put it back into astral projection. Like, for example, they'll explain having the vibrations, they'll explain seeing the bright white light. And I think it is really important that the reality shifting community embrace the astral projection community. I think they've been quite anti, or not all of them, but a lot of the people in the shifting community have been very resistant to kind of saying that this could be an astral experience. And they have some quite fear-based misinformation on astral projection as well. And I think it would be helpful for them to really embrace it, because there is so much more information out there. There's so much more support out there. And a lot of the times when people say things like that they went through sleep paralysis by doing this certain technique, when you embrace astral projection and the astral projection community, you can get some really good advice on that. And it's not just like, oh, that's a demon and it's taking over your body and creating more fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like exactly as you're saying, that the reality shifting community, they have like this light version of information of astral projection. They don't have the full depth of it, really.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you about sleep paralysis. It can be a really frightening experience. Do you have like, for those who experience like for the first times, it can be super scary. So what can you recommend? What can you recommend those who experience that?
So the thing with sleep paralysis is, a lot of people in the astral projection community will talk about sleep paralysis hallucinations. And I don't really love the term hallucination, because I think it takes away the realness of the experience. And you know, when you are in that and you are experiencing it, is very much real. And I truly believe that everything you can experience is a real experience. So I kind of steer away from using the word hallucination, but often they are manifestations of your thoughts and feelings, and whether they come through as kind of a direct manifestation, like something you've created yourself, a thought creation, or you've pulled it from somewhere else, you've pulled it from a lower dimension. It's all to do with your mental state. So, I mean, the biggest thing with astral projection, and it's kind of like the first challenge that everybody goes through, is that you have to let go of the fear, and you've got to be confident in the fact that you are safe and you are protected. So I literally live by, that's like my affirmation that I share with everyone. I am safe, I am protected, I am safe, I am protected. That's all it takes. I mean, even if you still feel kind of scared, just by doing that affirmation, it's going to change the experience completely.
That's really fantastic advice. I totally agree. Do you use any sort of enhancements, things like crystals or rituals, or do
yeah, I do like ritual. I am a little bit witchy like that. And the main thing with ritual is I feel like it is putting your intention into physical actions. So I'm not just, if I set up for astral projection, if I light some incense or some candles or put on some meditation music, every little action that I'm taking, I'm putting an intention into it. So I'm doing this so that I can have a non-physical experience. And when you're surrounding yourself with, you know, physical objects that are charged with intention, I do think it's really powerful for your experience.
So do you have any special crystal you would recommend?
Yeah, you can use a crystal called Astrophyllite, which is especially good for astral projection. I've also used Angelite, which is really good. My Angelite that I did have, I had it on a pendant and it broke. So I always take that as a sign. It's done. It's time to move on from that. So I actually gave that one away. But yeah, those are the two that I have used and found really effective. Also, just clear quartz. I mean, almost everybody has clear quartz, and it's such a powerful crystal. That one's always good to use. And even, you know, you can just, even if you don't have it on, say, a pendant or a bracelet or a piece of jewelry, you can literally just hold the crystal in your hand and it works just as well.
Yeah. Do you use incense as well?
Yes.
What's your favorite incense?
I usually just use the frankincense one.
Great. So do you have any more like beginners advice for like absolute beginners who want to try out this? Yeah,
so the biggest thing is consistency and commitment. So you really have to commit to it. I see people quite often who are really frustrated because they feel like they're not getting anywhere, but they're not putting in the real consistent effort. So not just meditating once a week, once a month, meditating every day. Because the thing with meditation is it's like an exercise. You're kind of building your mental muscle. And if you stop doing it for a week or a month, and then you go back to meditation, you'll find that you're back at square one again. You're back with those kind of intrusive thoughts. And the more you do it, the more enjoyable it gets. So definitely really commit to it and really say, okay, I'm going to have a meditation routine where I'm going to meditate every morning for, say, a month. I also think for beginners, I find that the best time to do this meditation is kind of like a few hours before you get up in the morning. So if you get yourself up, you know, have a cup of tea, like, you know, probably not caffeinated, but have, you know, a herbal tea and set up your ritual and then go and do your meditation. I find that to be really powerful. But the other thing is to utilize the lucid dream state. Like if you can learn to lucid dream, then that's also a great gateway into astral projection. I kind of see lucid dreaming and astral projection as two sides to the same coin. I think that most people who lucid dream, they put an expectation on it that the dream state can only be subjective and it can only be an individual subconscious reality. Yeah, I think that's kind of the intention and the expectation that we place on it. That isn't always necessary, but I mean, it's only natural. I mean, we've kind of been fed this idea that, you know, dreaming is just kind of like a subconscious illusion. And, but so, you know, you can put little permission slips in place. So say, okay, well, I'll create a portal in the lucid dream state. And when I walk through, I'll be in the astral. Or for me, I usually just, if I find myself in a lucid dream, then I'll just walk through a wall and then I'm kind of in the astral void, which I can use as a springboard. The other thing you can do if you can learn lucid dreaming, which is just a matter of like doing reality checks, giving your dreams priority. So writing them down, seeing the importance in them and analyzing them. But yeah, another thing that you can do with that lucid dream state is when you find yourself lucid in a dream and you really want to experience that whole, you know, typical out of body experience, just will yourself back to your physical body. And then when you do that, just lie there, keep your eyes closed and don't move a muscle. Just stay really still. And it only takes like a couple of seconds to get into the vibration state from there.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good advice. So when you're actually out in the astral, I mean, it's infinite. You can go anywhere really. Is there a special plane or place that you could recommend beginners to go to?
It's funny because for me, I kind of feel like, and I don't know if this is the same for everyone, but I feel like my experiences started in the etheric plane, which is basically, you know, another word for it is the real time zone, but I kind of see it as an overlay on the physical. So it's like the ghost realm, the spirit realm, you know, where you might have, it's kind of like you can perceive the physical from the etheric and you know the physical can also perceive what's in the etheric plane, and they do kind of get mixed up. I find a lot of people think that the etheric plane is actually the physical reality. I see it as more of like a close overlay, but for me that was where I started and I spent a long time there. And I also feel like the astral offers you different training grounds when you're ready for it. So if you're like me and you start out having etheric projections, you will only stay there for so long, and then you kind of go up a level, and now you're in a different training simulation. So for me, the next level was more of like subconscious realms, or William Buhlman calls them non-consensus realities. So places where you can change things, where you have a lot of impact with your subconscious thoughts and feelings. So usually, and yeah, like I said, I don't know if this happens for everyone, but what I find is that the astral will give you what you're ready for in every step.
Have you, I totally agree with all these different layers and this shadow realm.
Yes,
that's where I started to.
yeah.
Recently I heard about something that I found really interesting. Have you ever been to these Astral theme parks? There's supposed to be like big huge theme parks in the Astral where you can basically do everything. Have you heard about them?
I heard about that too, but no, I haven't experienced that yet. Maybe that's something we can maybe meet up on.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Personally, I find that one of the most interesting things to do is to actually meet a friend or a close loved one or something in the astral and then talk about it afterwards. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've met with people who were not astral projecting, so maybe people who were, say, dreaming, and then they don't remember it the next day. And I've also met with like passed on loved ones, but I haven't had that experience yet where you've been able to astral project and you have a friend who is also consciously projecting and you meet up. So that's definitely on my list of things that I really want to experience.
Yeah, I can really recommend that. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And a good little piece of validation too, I bet.
Yeah, very. It really gives a whole new dimension to it, because then you really realize, oh shit, this is for real, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's about all my questions for today. I really, really want to thank you so much for joining me here today. And I want to recommend everyone to watch your channel.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, your channel
Yeah.
is Ursula Bailey?
Ursula Bailey, yeah.
Ursula Bailey. And it's full of all these fantastic, interesting stuff about astral projection and lucid dreaming and reality thing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for today. And
thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I would love to have you over on my channel as well. So we'll have to sort something out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay.
Awesome.
It was great talking to you.
Thanks, you too. Thank you so much for having me, Alexis.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.